66% of entire Wipro's profitability
Focus
goes
on
to community, communication skills. It changes everything, right? I come from a Telugu medium background. When I joined Wipro, I could not even speak in English. That was my challenge. See, the biggest thing is that do not shy. First of all, acknowledge that you have no problem. Maybe more than I deserve. I feel, I think, looking at some of these packages or promotions there, am I really deserving this? Is it not too early? My lexicon is too poor. It was extremely embarrassing. I could not communicate effectively. And you may have noticed in Canada, the last quarter of last year, they started to fire a lot of the people.
Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast. So in this podcast, we'll be having a conversation with General Manager at Wipro, who has been for almost 20 years in Wipro now. So let's welcome Anudeep. Welcome to the show, Anudeep.
Thank you so much, Ravi.
Thanks for accepting my invitation. So I did got a few questions from my various channels. So I'll be asking those questions in this podcast. So let me start from the first question. So coming to the first one, how did you started your career at Wipro and BITS Pilani?
So I think you're very quick in starting your questions, but before that, thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you viewers for listening to my story, as well as it's a great learning experience. Thank you. So coming back to your question, I think it was when I was pursuing my graduation in Hyderabad, Wipro came to our campus, and I've gone through the campus selection. So that's how I was able to enter into Wipro. And as a part of my integrated program at Wipro, so it's not only pursuing the job at Wipro, but also pursuing my master's, which was my dream in software engineering through BITS Pilani. So it was an integrated program which allowed me to pursue my dream, like working as well as the graduation.
That's interesting, Anudeep. So, well, how was the difficulty level at Wipro? Like, how did you manage your, Wipro as well as your masters?
I think in the entire 19 or 20 years of journey, the most difficult period that I had was that first 4 years, where throughout the week you have to do your job, and over the weekend you do have to pursue a master's with BITS, which is a very tough curriculum, and you cannot fail. If you fail in BITS, then you lose your job. If you fail in your job, then you lose your BITS as well. So there's so much of pressure that created because of the integrated program. Maybe that's also helpful for me because I've gone through the toughest part of my journey, and all the other years are actually feeling better.
I think that's really tough time for you, I believe, because you have to manage two different things, right?
It was.
So coming to the second one, like how have you seen Wipro evolve and grow during your tenure?
It's an interesting journey that Wipro is going through. When I joined, I think they were around 50,000 employees.
Okay.
And now it's at 250,000 employees. So that's almost like a 400% growth in the last 20 years. What it means that anybody associated with the company can also grow with that. And it has evolved as a small Indian offshore vendor to one of the dynamic digital transformation company. So I could see the evolution, and then I could also see myself changing with the company, growing with the company.
So what do you think, like what parameters have affected, in the growing of the company?
Two things I would look at it. One, leadership. Who is running the company? Who is the CEO? Who is the COO? Who is the chairman? That drives. Because all of us, like 250,000 employees, drive everyday activity based on the vision that they set it, based on where they want us to take us in the next 20 years, next 30 years. How do they see us serving the customer? How do they see us growing, right? So that everything, this is what drives everything, right? Number one. Number two, it's a culture of the company. It's one of the phenomena which actually drives how you do, what you do, how do you respond, how do you communicate. This is all depends on the culture of the company. So those two things are important.
How did your roles and responsibilities changed over years? So that is one of the questions which I got from Instagram.
How it changed? I think it's a natural evolution. I was fortunate to have great mentors and great leaders, and more importantly, my colleagues who kind of helped me to learn every day. See, when I was a developer, right, I started to develop the applications and able to communicate with the customer and slowly evolved myself into, architect. You do not even realize when you became an architect.
Okay.
Right? And then this has started to made me as an architect, as an example.
Mm-hmm.
And then slowly, then from there, I moved into pre-sales, because now they started to ask me to put in front of the customer and sell it to the customer, build the solutions with the customer.
Mm-hmm.
So I moved into pre-sales. So it's a natural evolution that I've gone through. And there's no particular point, okay, from today you're an architect, or today you're a pre-sales consultant, today you're a director, today
Mm-hmm.
you're a general manager. It happened naturally.
Okay. So was there any challenges that you faced during your work?
Challenge, that's going to be, probably I can spend like 10 days
Oh.
talking about that. Multiple things.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing is that I was in a perception, if you're technically strong,
Mm-hmm.
that it'll be good, it'll
Mm-hmm.
be all right.
Mm-hmm.
That's a myth. Being technically strong, when I say technical, it's not just a technology, but it's whatever the job that you're doing it. If you do a good job, that's a basic criteria.
Mm-hmm.
That's nothing more than it. But you need to have combination of communication skills,
Mm-hmm.
being strategic, being humble, and being collaborative.
Mm-hmm.
Across those 4 areas, as I continue to evolve, few things that I've learned.
Mm-hmm.
There are few challenges that I faced, and the moment I realize some of those challenges, I have to fix it myself for me to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the key thing. And one of the stuff that I would young professionals, IT, while you're all doing your hard work in your own stream, plus be focusing on or focus on communication skills. It changes everything.
Mm-hmm.
While a lot of the people may perceive communication is just like a tip of the iceberg, it is not tip of the iceberg.
Mm-hmm.
Communication skills helps you to communicate your thoughts effectively,
Mm-hmm.
perceive what you want to perceive in the future,
Mm-hmm.
and grow with that.
Mm-hmm.
It changes everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I come from a Telugu medium background. When I joined Wipro, I could not even speak in English.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The biggest challenge that I had was to communicate with my colleagues, communicate with my lead.
Mm-hmm.
That has been our biggest challenge. I think I'm still lacking significant communication challenges or communication capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that articulate.
Okay.
I do want to improve that.
So do you have any suggestions for people who are really bad at communication skills?
See, there's nothing called bad at communication skills.
Okay, let's say okay. Mm-hmm.
I would not say bad.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, see, I grew up in Telugu medium,
Mm-hmm.
so I never had an opportunity to speak
Yeah.
in English. So am I bad in my communication? May not be,
No,
but
yeah.
I may not be articulate my thoughts in English.
Mm-hmm.
That was my challenge. See, the biggest thing is that do not shy. First of all, acknowledge that you have no problem.
Okay.
Understand that you have to improve that. Know that that is going to shape your life. Once you clear in your brain that this is important, then identify various mechanisms to help you cope up with the challenge. For some people, you were mentioning one of the biggest challenges that you had was in a communication, and you started this podcast for you to come out of it.
Yeah, that is why.
So that was your solution.
Yep.
Brilliant idea. For some reason, for some people, it could be watching movies.
Mm-hmm.
For some people, it could be reading books. Some people, it could be watching some news or reading newspaper. Or you will have to figure it out.
Okay.
There's nothing called, okay, you do this and then it will help you. Even today, I'm following a lot of the English communication trainers on Insta. So when you open my Insta,
okay,
you will see a lot of those English training thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because every day I'm learning. And my alerts, my applications that I've vocabulary,
Mm-hmm.
my lexicon is too poor.
Mm-hmm.
And especially my base lexicon is extremely small. My focus is to improve that base lexicon,
Mm-hmm.
right? And strengthen the lexicon. And you could do that. There are so many applications that can send you one word every day, as an example.
Yeah.
So when I wake up in the morning, the first alert that I see is that, okay, this is the word that you will have to learn.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that I'm learning one word every day. I mean, I wish, but constantly I am creating an environment where enabling me to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Obviously, one of the channel for us, we spend a lot of the time is mobile.
Yeah.
So my mobile is completely filled with applications, or if you open my YouTube channel, you'll see those subscribed channels which are related to communication? How do you effectively articulate? Right? So you'll have to create an environment that could help you.
That's a great session. I think I'll be implementing like the sessions that you told me. So maybe I'll be improving as well.
And if you come up, as I said, I was really impressed the step that you took to start the podcast. I was thinking, shit, that's a good idea.
Yeah, like somehow, I just landed up in, because like back then I used to, do educational videos where I used to teach related to the cloud programming as well as, chatbots, like related to the technology.
Yeah.
Because I was really interested in that. And even parallelly, I used to keep it in my Instagram channel. And recently, I also started reading books and also writing books as well. I also started creating motivational videos. So there is a book called Eat That Frog. So procrastination.
Procrastination.
So that is how I started doing those videos as well. Maybe like at least one person is motivated by that. I think that helped me a lot, right?
No, definitely. You already motivated me, by the way. And by the way, so another one of the biggest thing that I could never ever achieve is reading books. I bought like 100 books in my house right now, but it's very hard for me to focus, set and finish that. But I'm not leaving the challenge. I'm going to be continuously pursuing that.
Because even back then I was really bad at reading the books, but somehow I thought, okay, let's start it. And I just started the books. I ordered like around 4 to 5 books. The first book that I started was Psychology of Money, because I used to invest in
I think
stocks.
I just bought that last month, that Psychology
that
of
book
Money.
Is really good. You're really learning a lot of things. So every chapter that I learn, I have made a reel and I just kept in the YouTube so that everyone can learn from that.
Brilliant.
So that's what motivates me. Like I can teach everyone as well as, I learn myself as well.
Got it.
So that is how I started doing them.
Good. Thanks for sharing. See?
There are a lot of things that I need to, learn.
I think, that's where 50% of the problem is solved. The moment you acknowledge that I have a problem, that I need to resolve it, 50% of the challenge is gone. A lot of the people accepting that there is a problem with us, or need not be problem with us, but there is an area that we need to improve, it's a big challenge. Once you accept that, 50% of the challenge is gone.
That is where everything starts.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think a lot of conversation for this topic. That's really good. Maybe a lot of things our subscribers will be learning from that.
Definitely.
So coming to the next one, how did you approach leadership and team management within a large organization like Wipro?
Wipro being the large organization, it actually creates an opportunities for us to lead that. Because the company is growing and you're part of that growth, it naturally creates an opportunity. So when you're choosing in a company, I mean, I'm not saying you should not work for startups, by the way. You should work for startups, and there's a different ability that they have it. There's something else you'll learn it. But when you choose the large organizations like Wipro or any other companies, you need to know that it's going to create a lot of opportunities for you. Be prepared yourself, right? So it's a natural process in a lot of these large companies.
Great, great to know that. So, how, like, as a leadership role, like, how do you manage a lot of people under you? So, is it difficult to manage? Like, how do you do that?
I think if you're part of the technology industry or IT, you must be fortunate.
Okay.
Because if I look at next 50 years and 100 years, one of the largest things that can continue, that will continue, perhaps that will increase maybe 10 times or 20 times is the industry of technology.
Agree.
So being part of that industry, IT itself is a thing. And then if you're looking at which industry that I have to go, I would by default suggest you to go for an IT industry. If you have an option, please go ahead with the IT, because that can create a long-term prospects for you, right? And the second question is about sticking back to one.
Same company, yeah.
See, when you're looking at a company, it's not about how long that is. You have to look at a mutual relationship. Is company helping me in my career, in my knowledge increase, in my pay package, as an example, in my career promotions and everything? At the same time, is company gaining value from me? How am I helping the company to improve their, let's say, customer satisfaction, or build new products, or build new services, or improve their top line, or improve their bottom line, right? How am I directly contributing, Am I really adding value to the company? See, it's a constant thing that you have to keep checking. If one of them is not happening, probably that's not the company that you should work for, because one of them is not happening. The moment both of them are continuing at the same time, there is no reason for you to stick. So fortunate for me, I'm very lucky that Wipro was able to give me opportunities, challenges every day, promote me as often they could, take care of my package, maybe more than I deserve. I feel, I think, looking at some of these packages or promotions, am I really deserving this? Is it not too early? That's a position that they put me in, right? So I feel fortunate for that.
So coming to the next one, are there any lessons or experiences that you believe are crucial for career development?
I think, if you're working for any corporate, it's important that you need to understand what drives the company. There are companies that drives innovation. There are the companies about the growth. There are companies about addition of new products and introduction of new products and new services, or profitability. Once you understand what is the core thing that drives the company and understand your role and how can I contribute directly to that particular thing, being very clear in the hierarchical structure. Let's say I'm just picking up an example. In my, I knew I was a developer, then I've got a tech lead, I've got an architect, I've got a PM, I've got a director, I've got a GM, I've got a VP, I've got an SVP. I was very early part of my career, I kind of understood where the path of growth is. Once you understand the path, put in identifying a mark there. Okay, I want to be VP in 15 years. I'm just picking up an example. Whether that happens or not happens, it does not really matter. But once you know that I want to be a VP in 15 years, then you have to start understanding what it takes to be a VP, right? What are the capabilities that they needed? Today you might be developer, but once you start understanding, by knowing the capabilities that you require to be VP, naturally you will start moving in the direction. It may not happen in 15 years, but I can bet with you it may happen in at least 20 years or 25 years.
If you try, for sure, yeah.
But the thing is, a lot of the people is, okay, I'm a developer today. Let me just work on development for next 2-3 years. Okay, let me become a team lead. And then once you become a team lead, then the next one is, I'm just picking up an example, maybe a project manager, maybe an architect or something. Your level of exposure is only that next role. You need to have a long-term exposure. The moment you have a long-term exposure, you'll start creating the capabilities to become that.
I think the next one would be like, can you share some challenges you have faced during your career and how did you overcome them? I think that is what we are discussing.
Yeah, so we talked about the communication challenges, being strategic, collaborative, some of those things that I came across. We talked about, right? I think one advice that I can give it to anybody, or maybe let me share a story. So when I joined Wipro, because I came from Telugu medium background, I could not communicate effectively, and my team lead used to call me in front of 6-7 people, and he used to make me speak in English. And then obviously I couldn't communicate, and everybody used to start laughing. And that used to be the trend for 1 year, 2 years. It was extremely embarrassing. And you can imagine, I mean, people were making fun of you, I mean, making you as a part of that, comedy show, right? But I never got discouraged with that. I know it was stressful for me, but I realized that it is a problem with me. I am the one who gave them an opportunity to make fun of me. So the world would always be full of people that could use your weaknesses to make fun of you. And that's where I started to, why should I give them my weakness? How can I become stronger? Now, since that day, I mean, since then, I started to learn English. Even today, I will never leave. I think maybe I'll take 30 more years to become good, perfect in English. So I will never stop learning. I would look at every challenge as an opportunity to make you stronger. It is a stressful situation to go through those challenging moments, but trust me, it's going to help you.
That is where
it's going to make you stronger. It's going to make you better. Embrace the challenges.
Thanks for sharing your journey, Anudeep. Thanks for that. And coming to the next one, so how do you see the role of technology evolving, and what opportunities do you see for professionals in this field?
I think, as I said, let's say oil and gas industry may not even be there maybe 30 years, 50 years, or 100 years down the line. Or a lot of the industries may going down in the future. But one industry that's going to be growing faster, stronger, is technology.
Yeah.
100% technology is going to be there. If you've not converted into technology industry, it's time that you should move, right? It is, IT industry has become a vast industry. There are so many sub verticals or technologies. There are ERP technologies, there are Java, there's .NET or SharePoint or Salesforce, there is Oracle Fusions are coming in as an example. There's an AI is coming in, and within AI you've got a generative AI. There is there are like 15 different types of AI, and you pick up any of the technology, there are 15 different variations. So and then for example you are into cybersecurity, and within cybersecurity there are what 15 different there's a threat hunting, there's cyber monitoring, incident management, and antivirus. There's there's so many types that you have within the industry that creates great opportunities for everyone in the industry.
Thank you. And coming to the next one, since you have undertaken various roles in your career, which role interests you most and why?
I think every role that I'm picking it up is new.
Okay.
And as I said, it's because once they put you in that position, you have to understand that role. You have to learn so much of it. You have to evolve yourself. You have to adopt the demands of that particular role. So they never gave me a chance to think about other roles or everything. So the moment they put you in the thing, and then I'll get busy in learning about things. By the time I kind of get comfort in that role, they're putting you into the next challenge. So because every role has lot to learn, it's always been interesting.
So is there any specific role that interests you more?
I'll say all. Trust me, because every role comes with a different responsibilities and different challenges, right? When I was a developer, I had to learn about .NET. I started with a VB, and then immediately .NET came into the picture. I'm like, I've just started to learn ASP, and then now you introduce a new platform .NET at that time, right? And then I started to learn .NET, and then they introduced SharePoint in that, and then I started to learn SharePoint. Then they introduced BizTalk as a middleware platform, as an example. Now I started to learn all of these technology. Then hey, you became an architect. Why don't you start doing the role, right? So every time there's so much to learn, and which made it interesting. And I can tell you all the roles that I performed are very interesting.
That's good to know that every role interests you. So how about like the present role? Like what responsibilities that you have, and can you please share something about
Definitely. It? So as a part of my current role, I manage the transportation business of Wipro's Canada, right? Anything that is related to the transportation industry, the customers that we serve are part of it, which means managing the customer obligations, growing the business, taking care of the employee satisfaction, taking care of the customer satisfaction, evolving yourself to be more relevant for the future, making the decisions to invest for the future, right? Building in a stronger team that could actually drive in a sustainable business. And there are like multiple things that are part of the current responsibilities.
And coming to the next one, why don't big companies like Wipro create their own products to compete with Google and Microsoft?
It goes back to the strategy of the chairman or the CEO. So they're the ones who decides the path, saying that, okay, this is the industry that I'm in. This is the particular stream of the company that I would like to develop. I think Rishad Premji or Rajim Premji on theory would have chosen, okay, I want to be IT services company. I wanted to be this, but I want to be good in this. For you to become like in a B2C after product companies like Google, Microsoft, and other stuff, that requires a completely different strategy altogether. That requires a different leadership style, requires a different culture, right? And they have to develop that, right? But I think our chairman and then CEO has made a decision to be in the IT services industry, but bring in digital transformation, innovations, some of these modern technologies, and that's where they opted to be here. But coming back to that, I did, interestingly, I did raise this question
Okay.
to our CEO
Oh.
sometime back when, I don't know if you remember, Facebook acquired WhatsApp at a particular point of time.
Yeah.
And the market evaluation at that time was $13 billion, right? I think 13 or $14 billion. And then I think we were $4 billion company at the time, but we had more employees than WhatsApp.
Okay.
And then I was thinking, I had this question to the CEO. We had almost 120,000 people. And WhatsApp did not even have more than like 5,000 people or 4,000 people. But they got evaluated at $14-15 billion, which means there's a lot of money to be made in the B2C business than in a B2B business that we are in today.
Yep.
Right? So, and that's where they said it's the strategy that every company decides.
Okay.
Our chairman, who owns a significant investments, 67%, I think they made the decision to be in this particular business. However, at the same time, Rishad is also making some investments in startups.
Okay.
In California or across the world, right? That's a completely different business altogether, right? But he's making investments in some of those startups.
Oh, that's good to know. Since you spoke about the shares, like, is it segregated to even employees? Like, how does the shares work in Wipro?
So yes, employees, not every employee, but there's bands that you all have to be eligible for, and then you'll start getting the shares. Those employee shares that they talk about it. That's in addition to what your publicly listed shares, and then owners own the thing. So there's a dedicated quota that is being driven for the employees.
Thanks for sharing that. And coming to the next one, when will the market open, and how do you anticipate this year will be for hiring?
Late last year, we all thought 2024 would be bad. And a lot of the companies have started to prepare for the worst case scenario. And you may have noticed in Canada, the last quarter of last year, they started to fire a lot of the people. Now we started to see that with the GDP in control and then other global economy changes, I think we started to see positive signs, and it may not be as worse as we thought about this year last year.
Okay, so comparatively, I think this year would be better.
Better than what we anticipated.
Okay.
It may not be better than, it may not be the year where things would be completely different, no, but it would be better than what we anticipated. I think the market will start picking up from jobs perspective. Again, it's my personal view. Maybe in the month of May and April and May could be the times.
And coming to the next one, how can we get a reference from a professional like you? And what factors do you consider when giving a referral to a student or a professional?
The referral for student is a little different perspective than the with the people with experience. Students, it's going to be a little tough because companies like Wipro or any of these companies, hiring students directly from the market is not normal. They go through campus interviews. They have relationships established across all the universities, like either top tier, top 10 university or top 20 universities. Typically, they prefer to go there, pick up the students from the universities and create a path for them to grow in the future. But it's I've not seen much picking up students from the market directly as an interview. That used to be maybe 20 years back, but now it's tough. So it's going to be tough for the students who are open in the market, looking for opportunities like Wipro or any other companies, established companies. But when it comes to professionals, the referral goes back to, is there an opportunity? Number one, because most of the times, if you have an opportunity, open position, referring to that open position is much more easier than typically referring, okay, I know you, Ravi, now let me go and refer you to Wipro. But who in Wipro? Where in Wipro? Right? It doesn't happen like that. But if I know, hey, Ravi, there is a particular cyber related opportunity. I know you personally. I know you've done well in the job. I have confidence in you that you can do better in this one. It's going to help you and it's going to help the company. Then that's where I feel, hey Ravi, there's an opening. Is it relevant for you? Do you want to apply for it? Right? And referral is one of the biggest source of people joining the company, in addition to directly open positions. Yeah.
Right. So let's say, for example, let's say there is a person whom you don't know. He contacted through LinkedIn. So what things that you look into?
I think before I refer, I typically evaluate myself, and I know if there's a common link that I'll talk to them, whether they've how is that, and there are some background, because I'm personally referring you. I put it in Wipro saying that I know Ravi and then I'm referring to this position. While yes, they do have to do evaluation in terms of the technical abilities and then suitability, your aptitudes, your communication skills and everything. They'll do all of that formalities. But for me to refer to them, but I do have to have a chat with you, and then I do have to believe that you might be suitable for that position. If I personally do not believe that you are suitable, I may not be referring, right? So having that open dialogue would always help.
Great. So first, like we have to have that conversation with the person.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks for letting me know that.
Anytime.
And coming to the next one, what strategies would you employ to maintain a balance between work and your personal life?
That's a funny question, I would say, because there's so much debate happening, and there are different views that people have about the work-life balance, and all of them are valid, by the way, because that's a very personal question to everyone, because it is defined based on individuals, right? But for me, there are two things that you have to address.
Okay.
Right? Number one, do I believe personally that I have a problem with my work-life balance? Then addressing that is number one. The second perspective, or second thing that you have to look at, the people important for you, like whether your parents, whether your cousin, your brothers, sisters, or your spouses, or your girlfriend or boyfriend, or whatever it is, right? Do they believe that I'm having challenges with work-life balance?
Okay.
The strategies to do these two are completely different, because if it is the second one, you're dealing with the perception, then the strategies to clear that perception is completely different. But if you personally believe that I do have a problem in work-life balance, then I have to identify and fix that. Right? In my case, I do not believe I have a work-life balance issue.
Okay.
Because I'm very passionate.
Okay.
If I feel like working now, doesn't matter whether it's a midnight, 4 a.m., 3 a.m., 2 a.m., does not really matter.
Okay. The work should be
I just go and then work, because that gives me satisfaction. That gives me happiness. Am I saying everybody should be doing it? No. But if I feel stressed, I take off. I just do a lot of DIYs just to take out my stress. So I found my own mechanism to cope up with those stress and balances. So I personally believe I've got a perfect balanced life, which may be a different view for my, my family may have a different view, right? So I do have to fight on that challenge.
Thanks for sharing that. And coming to the next one, have you found any difference in working in India and Canada? And in your opinion, which is better?
There are so many differences. And I will not say which one is better. I would say every country has its DNA.
Okay, agree. Yeah.
And how do you take the advantage of that DNA? How do you understand that? And then how do you leverage that strength of that particular country for your own benefit? Right? So when I grew up in India, when I was a developer, I had my team lead sitting next to me.
Okay.
The moment I stuck in my coding in somewhere or any technical challenges, I've got like 4 other people who could help me to move on. That accelerates your learning.
Okay.
But when it comes to Canada, I haven't seen that culture.
Okay.
The culture in Canada, they focus more on communicating effectively, focusing on managing your stakeholders, thinking about strategic,
Mhm.
thinking about a vision, having a clear plan, clear schedules. So something that I've learned in India,
Mhm.
something that I've learned here.
Okay,
So that's where I'm using the best of both the countries.
nice. What about you have also worked in San Diego, right? Like, what about it?
Santiago, yeah. So that's a completely different culture altogether.
Okay.
I mean, that was very interesting because people in Latin America, for them, work is maybe a fifth criteria. All the other ones are related to life.
Mhm.
For them, football is priority, music is priority,
Mhm.
personal relationship. I mean, family is priority.
Mhm.
Vacations are priority because you need all of them.
Mhm.
Your
Yeah.
job is required.
Yeah.
So that's where it comes. Whereas the culture in Canada or India is very competitive. For them,
Mhm.
work is at least in the top one or top two priorities, right? So
Yeah.
that there's no, it's a different culture. But while I do love India and Canada, of course, but Chile is one of the best country to work in
Oh, because of the
because
freelance.
the perspective of life
Mhm.
is completely different there. It's an amazing culture.
This is something new that I've learned. Like the second thing that I've learned in this podcast. Thanks for sharing that. And coming to the next one, what do you do in your free time? Do you have any interesting hobbies?
I started to discover, thanks to my wife,
Mhm.
she pushed me to do, renovate my washroom, one of my washroom,
Mhm.
and then I was not even aware of how to do any of the stuff. Then I started to bring a lot of the tools
Okay.
like miters, tables, jigs, whatever the sauce are, right? Then I started to, get into the, DIY, do it
Mhm.
yourself,
Mhm.
and then everything that you see around the house,
Yeah.
whether it's those wall panels or cupboards or the live edge tables or the bar that you saw,
Mhm.
right? Everything was done by ourselves. So that really helped me to work. It worked as stress busters.
So how much time do you invest in this?
It's not in how much time.
Okay.
Almost every month we pick up one project,
Okay.
right? Okay, this month our project is cupboards. I'm
Okay.
just picking up an example,
Mhm.
right? We pick up that, we start learning about that, we start understanding how do you do it, what materials you need it, or what tools that you need it. And it's not that I have to complete that work, right?
Mhm.
Whenever I feel like stressed out,
Mhm.
I go invest 1 hour there,
Okay.
maybe over the weekend, maybe 4 hours as an example. But whenever I keep getting the time, now I have something to do, I focus on that. So there's nothing like how much time
Mhm.
whenever I feel like. It's not, again, I don't want to create that as a stress for me to complete that, right? Because I'm using
Okay.
that as a stress buster.
Uh-huh.
So I'm limiting that as well, right?
Thanks for sharing that. So, coming to the final question. Finally, do you have any suggestions for students or professionals who want to join Wipro or any other company in general?
You know, I would definitely recommend to
Mhm.
join Wipro
Mhm.
by default
Mhm.
because it's a company with a pure purpose.
Mhm.
Not every company has that defined purpose.
Mhm.
So if you are passionate about technology,
Mhm.
if you have got entrepreneurial spirit,
Mhm.
if you are thinking about innovating something differently,
Mhm.
and Wipro is a company to join, right? 100%.
Mhm.
But I am not passionate about technology.
Mhm.
I don't have future aspirations. I don't want to work for a company with a purpose. Of course, Wipro is not suitable.
Okay. What is the interview process in Wipro?
So again, it goes back to the open positions. First, careers.wipro.com. Across the globe, I think we are there in over 60 countries.
Mhm.
Across the globe, based on the location, based on the city, you can actually choose.
Mhm.
You can see the list of the real-time
Mhm.
jobs that are. Go ahead, and if you know anybody in Wipro, reach out to them saying that, hey, let's say in Toronto, I found this opportunity. I believe I have the capabilities.
Mhm.
The best way is to find out, reach out to some of the employees so it's faster.
Mhm.
Otherwise, the other route is also faster,
Mhm.
but this could help you accelerate
Mhm.
much faster, right, than the other one, right? So once you reach out to them, it's easy. They'll go through the interview. In most of the scenarios, there are typically 3 rounds of interviews.
Okay.
It depends on the customer, may become 5 rounds as well. The first typically is to technical round, whether you're qualified for the job or not. Once the level 1 is completed, then it goes to level 2. Once level 2 is completed, then goes to the HR round, where they'll check your matching with the culture, whether you fit in the right organization, and those ones. And then it depends on the customer. Some of the customers also wants to interview on behalf of because at the end of the day, you would be working for them. So it's 3 to 5 rounds.
Great. Thanks for letting us know. I think this is the end of the podcast. So, any suggestions for our subscribers or anything that you want to share?
I think first, thank you so much for your time. I had an opportunity to share with you my learnings. I'm really passionate about the technology and helping some of the young professionals in the industry, because there are so many challenges that I've gone through, learnings that I've gone through. I don't want anyone to go through all of them. I want you to make the right choices, because every choice that you make in early your career will directly impact your long-term aspirations. And I was really inspired by what you've done, because learning is the one thing can never stop. The moment you stop learning, you're almost dead. There's no relevance for you in the world. And when I saw your videos, what you're doing, that's where I said, it's my privilege to be part of it, because it's an opportunity for me to learn with you and then also share. But thank you for everything that you're doing.
Thanks. Thanks for being a part of my podcast.
Anytime.
And helping my followers as well as subscribers your knowledge.
Anytime.
Thanks for that. So thanks everyone. So this is the end of the podcast. So if you've not subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe to my channel and please share the video. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.